Hey everybody, what's up? Thank you for joining me. Today's guest on the podcast is John Jarvis, formerly of Agoraphobic Nosebleed, Pig Destroyer, Fulgora, Scour, and John is currently the singer frontman for the band Nest, who are on tour. Check it out.
John Jarvis, thank you for joining me, dude. You guys are on tour with Nest. Let's talk about the tour. Where are you guys at right now? Where are you at? What's the rest of the tour look like?
Well, right now we're in San Francisco. We got a day off. It's Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Yeah, man, we're watching some football at the hotel. We're doing some laundry, getting caught up, and just enjoying the day. And we head out from here and go up north to Portland. And well, tomorrow is the Pacifica, California, which is outside of San Francisco. Then we'll go to Portland and Seattle, start heading back down towards Boise, Salt Lake City, Denver, Kansas City, heading back down towards home. So it's been going great, though.
Nice. Glad to hear it. Yeah, I see you guys are playing at the Star Theater in Portland on Saturday, right?
Right. That's going to be one of the bigger venues of the tour. We've got a couple smaller. I like to stick to the smaller places, of course. And since this is our first headliner, we need to be playing the smallest places possible, you know. And but that's one of the bigger venues. But it's a weekend, which is great. Weekend, shows usually do a little better than the weekdays. But yeah, we're looking forward to that one.
Awesome. And some of the best shows that I've ever seen have been at the smaller venues, like Cannibal Corpse was the first concert I saw back when I was a kid, and that was in a place that held like 200 people, and it was just freaking awesome, man. So more power to the smaller venues for sure.
Yes, I mean, I remember being afraid to see Cannibal Corpse at the Galaxy in St. Louis because it was so small. I'm like, I will die. If I go there, I might die. And I was legitimately afraid to go see Cannibal Corpse at that place. So this was when I'm, a teenager back in the 90s. But yeah, you're right. It's always better in a nice small place. I mean, unless I saw Metallica at the stadium a couple weeks ago, and there's 60,000 people, and it's a great production. And I understand you can't put that on at a small place, but there's pros and cons to both. So I'm a fan of all of the above.
Totally. So you saw Metallica. What was that like? Because I've seen videos and stuff, but what's it like experiencing that in person, man? Because it looks like it's just freaking crazy.
Well, I've been seeing them since I was 10 years old. And back then, they were just a machine. And, obviously, as you get older, things happen, and you wonder, can you get better and can you improve? And I can honestly say that Metallica's show a couple weeks ago might have been one of the best I've seen as far as like Lars is playing, for example. I could say that I think Lars is actually practicing and getting better. I mean, I was impressed with his playing at the last show. I mean, Kirk still had some flubs here and there, but he missed a solo on one, which was kind of it kind of pissed James off. I remember he was like, "What?" The actually said, "What the fuck?" But it happens, and it's great when you see the big stuff like that. Big bands like that make mistakes. I love it because I says to myself, "It's like, okay, if those guys can mess up, it's okay if I do too."
Oh, absolutely, man. There's classic videos on YouTube of people like Metallica, where they mess up the beginning of Fade to Black or whatever, and it just shows that they're still human too. And I don't know about you, but it seems like the more notes you play, the more shows you play, the more mistakes are going to happen. So it just kind of at certain points, it's nice to know that we're all human and we all make mistakes.
Yes, and it's also nice to know that they're not playing to a backing track. You know what I mean? It's like, Metallica is actually playing the music, and it's important to me. I wish I could say the same for a lot of the bands today, but there's a lot of them that are faking it up there, and Metallica's not. So hats off to them.
Oh, for sure, man. I get running samples and stuff and in certain things here and there, but yeah, if you're not able to replicate what you're recording or having to rely on the backing tracks to pull it off, and then it's kind of, it definitely isn't the same as the organic approach. I mean, I get it if you don't have enough people where you're even Mortician back in the day had a drum machine, and I get all that kind of stuff. But
yeah, I mean, I played a drum machine band too, so, and there's pros and cons to that, because the best part for me for most shows is watching the drummer, and if there's no drummer there, You kind of have to have other things going on. That's why we kind of had screens with videos and stuff and lasers and whatnot, whatever we could do.
Yeah, it's like a full production at that point. And I mean, anything that's going to enhance the visual, and like you said, like what it's like to play to like a drum machine. And I don't know, man. It's tough to play in time to one. I mean, you got to be on the ball and be on point. And I mean, nothing will ever replace a human being. But you know, there's something to be said for like being in time and pulling that off, because it's still tough. Like Putrid Pile, that guy's out there doing it by himself with a drum machine, and you guys have done it. I mean, I've done it before too, and you know, it's unforgiving if you get off the train, man. You're
That's
done.
right. That's the best thing. There's no human element there. You can't tell the drum machine, hey, slow down or speed up. It's not going to. And you can't, if you mess up, you got to catch on to him, because he's not stopping once again. And there's nothing you can do. Like, I know the feeling. And a show like Agoraphobic Nosebleed, we'd have an hour-long sample of drums playing behind us. So if you mess up, you know, you got to know. And you can't say, hey, stop a second. I got to get a drink of water, or I got to tune my bass. The thing just goes for an hour straight. You know what I mean? And you got to be there.
That's crazy, man. Like when I did it, I had a loop pedal I would turn the tracks on and off with. But just like going for an hour, like it's all like, once we press play, man, we're going for it. And in an hour of that, like you said, no water, no, you can't like shoot the glance over and like, slow down a little bit, or anything. You're at the mercy of the machine at that one, man. So kudos to you, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah, and it did get crazy many times, and to the point where we just had to press pause on the thing, and that's really awkward. You know what I mean? No one wants that.
Right. He's like, our drummer needs to take a break for a minute. You got to let the machine cool down.
And I hate relying on those anyway. You know what I mean? Because so many things could go wrong with that computer. Yeah, that's why you got to have backups. But yeah, I'm always a fan of watching the drummer myself.
Absolutely, dude. And obviously your cousin John's a great drummer. He's renowned dude. He's awesome drummer. So, what, you have a drummer in the family. Do you ever call him up and be like, hey, dude, I need your help, and can you bail me out or record some tracks for me?
All the time, our whole lives, and it's been great. And it's Thanksgiving today. I miss, being back with the family, and that's when we would jam, and kind of when we were young kids, we'd get in the room and play some Metallica, and we'd like, let's put together our Christmas set list. And when Christmas came around, we'd play a few songs for the family, and there's video of us back in the 80s playing Metallica and, for the holidays. So we've been jamming together our whole lives, and we just jammed a couple weeks ago at the Scour home haunt. I don't know if you saw any of that stuff.
Yeah, I did. What is that like? I mean, I remember reading that Phil had King Diamond out there one time and all this crazy stuff. And I was told by some other folks it was awesome too.
Well, King Diamond was not there this year, but there's a lot of great, cool people, and we had just a impromptu jam session where before you know it, Pepper's on bass and Phil's on drums, and it just stuff you wouldn't see anywhere else. But no one planned for any of this stuff to happen either. It just kind of was like, hey, do you know how to play Paranoid? The next thing you know, I'm on guitar playing Paranoid. You know what I mean? And we had a great jam sesh. We played War Pigs with Phil on drums, and he just nailed it. He wouldn't. And I told him the next day, I said, hey, man, that's not easy to nail that verse part and War Pigs, even though it's just a hi-hat. A lot of drummers mess that up. I've played with multiple that just can't get through that part. It's just a tricky little part, though it doesn't sound very tricky. And Phil nailed it. And then the next night, Adam jumps on drums, and he kind of messes it up a little bit. Phil grabs the sticks out of his hand during the song and takes over on drums, finishes the song out. And I was like, I can't believe I'm playing War Pigs with Phil on drums. And Adam's watching it. And he's like, this is the greatest thing ever. Because it kind of was. It was like the greatest jam session ever. It was awesome. But I got to jam with Adam. We did some Alice in Chains covers, and I forgot what else we did. And then Scour jams. So we actually had a couple of Scour practices too. So it was good to see him recently. And yes, anytime I need someone, he's top of the list.
That's awesome, man. I mean, I wish I had a cousin or a brother that could do anything, or play drums, of course. But let's talk about Nest. So in Nest, you're actually singing and playing guitar. Is this the first time that you've done that?
Well, I've done it in bands when I was a teenager. My first, I'd say, serious band was called Thick, and we would practice almost every day after school and played a few awesome shows. Played like the 4th of July at the hometown, and there was like 7,000 people. It was pretty awesome. And I was the front man. I was the singer guitar player in that band. So it's not really new to me, but it's new to most people. You know, most people think of me as a bass player. And honestly, for Nest, I was not going to play guitar or bass was the first plan. I just wanted to be the singer and like be the front man. And then I had my buddy Tim on guitar, and we were looking for a bass player. And just to make it through some practices, I played the bass while I sang. And then finally, I was just like, well, I could just be the bass player, I guess, whatever. But then Tim asked me to write some songs. So then I wrote a whole record like in a couple days. And then COVID happened, and he's like, I can't be in this band anymore because I can't go to work. You know, next thing you know, we can't have band practice or do shows. And so that's when I said, well, I guess I'll just be the guitar player and keep writing these songs. And then Timmy rejoined later on bass. So it's kind of how it all started.
That's awesome, man. Like, you know, I have so much respect for anyone that sings and plays an instrument at the same time. Like, that's tough to do, to give each thing, you know, your best. And, you know, there's obviously so many great people and so many great examples of that. But, you know, man, that's tough, especially like, you know, fronting the band, singing and playing, you know, and kind of like just putting it all out there. I actually watched some of your guys' live videos, and it was cool. You guys played Spill the Blood. And I thought that was just awesome because, like, I love that song. I mean, and it's a deep cut or whatever that means. But man, that was rad to see you guys play that. That was awesome.
Yeah, you know, we want to do different covers in different cities, and so I got a list of 30 cover songs now that we can kind of bust out at any time. Or if we wanted to at all, you know, we could just do a covers, you know, album or covers show if we wanted to, but we're not going to really do that. But it's just so if we're in Seattle, let's do a Nirvana song. You know, the other night we're in California, let's do Slayer, Spill the Blood. You know, when we were in LA, we did 9 Inch Nails, March of the Pigs because he recorded that there. You know, at the Manson house or the murder house, Sharon Tate house. But yeah, it's like so when you're different places, we can kind of tailor our set to where we're at, and it's been fun. Like last night, we had a great turnout, and we played all of the covers that we have ready for the set. So we did like 5 cover songs last night. It was an hour-long set, and it's great because a lot of the people there had no clue who we were, you know. And but at the end of the show, they're like, "Hey, I liked how you did Thin Lizzy, Jailbreak." You know what I mean? And then the other girl last night flat out said, she's like, I don't even like heavy metal. Like, but you guys were awesome. And I told her, I was like, hey, you know, that's kind of the goal for Nest is to kind of have a wide variety of fans that it's not just, I'm not trying to tailor to the brutal death metal fans, but I love it when they like us. You know what I mean? Like when the guys from Waco Jesus say, hey, you guys, I dig it. I understand it. I like you guys. That means a lot to me because I know those are the real motherfuckers. But that's not my target audience. My target audience is music listeners. You know, it's not. So it's great to win over some non-metal heads last night and maybe convert a few. You know,
Right? You're fighting for the cause, man. Flying the flag of metal and getting people to, you know, join the dark side of the force, if you will. But you know, with Nest, like, kind of your guys is like you have an eclectic style. I mean, you've been in a lot of different types of bands. I mean, I listened to Fulgora, and that was an awesome EP or record. That was great. And I was going to ask you, hey, no problem, man. Like, is there any news for Fulgora? Are you guys going to put some more music out? Are you guys going to tour? Is there anything going on with that?
well, there is a secret record that's kind of been recorded and worked on over the last few years. That's kind of set and dormant. We have some solidified like recordings that we never released too from back in the day. And I know we got one single for sure that's pretty much done that could be released, and we probably should at some point. But it just kind of came up to the point where we had to say, do we really want to be a touring band and really do this or not? And unfortunately, the singer he's like, hey, I just want to do my job and stay at home. I don't really want to go on tour with this or anything. I'm happy with what I'm doing. And so we just kind of had to respect his wishes and kind of let the band dissolve, sadly. But when offers come up, if Hellfest said, "Hey, we need to book Fulgora here. We want to give you a bunch of money," we would get that thing back together in a heartbeat. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
there's not bad blood enough to where it's never going to happen again or anything. It's just that we got so many things going on that I like to focus on as many things as possible, and but when you're in 10 bands at the same time, you can't do what they all want. Some of them have to suffer, sadly.
Totally,
So,
man. Freaking so you guys are on what, a 2 week run with Nest right now?
yep, yeah.
And you guys have got Portland coming up. The band that you guys are playing with Within the Pyre, they're a really, really good band. So I'm going to try to make it up for that show to watch you guys play.
Oh, sick.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. And it'll be a good time. I haven't been to a show in a bit, so it'll be fun. But so what's next for Nest then? Like you're talking, like being on the road's tough. It's work. It's not a party on wheels, and you try to enjoy yourself as much as you can. So is Nest? I mean, I know you're in a lot of projects, and like you said, you have different stuff going on. So is Nest going to be like your main focus from here on out, or are you going to try to just balance everything?
Well, yeah, I'm gonna try to do what I've always done, which is jam with as many people as possible, as much as I can. And I'm fortunate enough to where I can do that right now. Like I don't have to worry about going to work in the morning and paying rent and shit. Like it's pretty nice that I can focus on making music and whatever else it takes, being on tour, for example, and promoting it. And yeah, it's what's next for us is basically release the record. We've had an album done for a while that House Core will release, and then we're working on our second covers album right now as we speak, which we haven't released the first one. So that means we got two albums completed in the back pocket, and now we're completing the second covers album. So that would be three, and now I have my next album after that almost completed. I'm working on vocals for that, so I'm way ahead of the game, and just waiting patiently for releases and release dates and all that good stuff so we can get back on the road. Like we did some shows last month on the East Coast, and so I kind of wanted to knock out the other spots that we've missed this month, and then next year hopefully is when it's all released and get back on the road to promote it.
Nice, man. Nice. So you guys put on the East Coast and you're working your way west, obviously. What's you've obviously toured a lot. You've been in some legendary bands. What is your favorite venue in the United States? Out of all the places you played, what one do you think is your favorite? I mean, I asked that to everybody, but like, what's your favorite one, dude?
Well, it's kind of cliche, but I'm going to say the Whiskey A Go Go because it's one I dreamed of playing growing up. I was a big Doors fan when I was very young. And when that film came out, I learned a lot about the group, and you learned that they were the house band at the Whiskey A Go Go, and that's where they played. And I said to myself, oh, man, I want to play there someday. You know what I mean? And we did and had a great time. Everyone there was cool. I've, as people that live there, kind of look at it as the place where, the washed up people play. At least that's what they've told me. You know what I mean? Like it's not the up and coming cool venue anymore. It's the, on your way down type venue. But I don't look at it like that. I look at it as a legendary place, and that's why I love it. And yeah, it's there's so many in all over the world, but in the States, that's the first one that would come to mind for me.
Nice, man. And I mean, I would like to think that like when you play places like that or anywhere that some of your favorite bands have played or people that you revere and respect, that some of the magic, rubs off on your shoes too when you're done. You know what I mean? Like just the sacred ground of rock and roll or metal or whatever it may be, that some of the vibe, it's like, hey man, I got to play where Jim Morrison was, hanging out or this and that, you know what I mean? And some of that magic kind of stays with you. I guess, it's not very scientific, but this is about, kicking ass and it's, art. So that's kind of my philosophy is, like, hey man, like I got to play on the same stage as like Chuck Schuldiner or Death or whoever it may be. And it's just kind of like, man, that's really cool. And like, that's an experience that I think that hopefully, like, and I'm sure that a lot of musicians feel that way.
Yeah. And you should, I mean, because you got to respect the legends and your elders and the people that came before you. And that's why I always respect every venue I play at. But it's extra special when you get told stories like, "Hey, Stevie Ray Vaughan played here in front of 13 people once," and like it's like cool because I'm playing in front of 6 people, and it makes me feel better to know that Stevie Ray Vaughan played in front of 13. So, but yeah, man.
Absolutely, dude. Like, if, like 10 or 10,000 or something like that, right? You always give them everything you got, and like being on the road like that night after night, dude. How do you find it in yourself to just keep that momentum going, to keep that intensity going, that drive, and like how do you find yourself, getting the strength to do that, man, or just the power of it all?
For me, it's been pretty simple because I just enjoy it so much. Like I even enjoy like loading in sometimes. Like it's because you could do it right and you could do it wrong, and I like to do everything a certain way. And I got the guys to where we're kind of like a fine-tuned machine. And when we do it, it's kind of fun. It's like, let's see if we can get it done faster. Let's see if we can do it better. Let's see if we can consolidate all this even better and always try to improve. But even like if it's a 6-7 hour drive, I'll pop on some tunes and enjoy it, and we have some good chats in the van. And there's hardly ever a time where I'm like, this sucks. And the only time it's usually when it's like, all right, we're about to play. Now we got to wait and wait and wait. And but usually during that point is when, you can start setting up your merch and chatting with the local bands and, watching the local bands. You don't have to be hiding in the dressing room, but for me, it's just been great. Even yesterday I was on the long drive and we hit the views are just so beautiful. I thought to myself, I'm glad I'm, doing this instead of sitting at home.
Oh, absolutely. Or pouring concrete in the rain or whatever it may be, man. Absolutely.
It could be a lot worse. That is for sure.
Yeah. And like, I think that's part of the thing is like you're talking about, like even simple things are not simple, but unloading and loading the gear, like, like consolidating things better. It's like the ultimate version of Legos. And, like just like getting its stuff back in there the same way it came out. It's always a struggle. You know what I mean? And I'm so it's all those little things and like having like how far a positive attitude goes too, like when you're on tour and when you're moving around like that, and being in the van and getting along with people, and it's like a family on wheels, man. So all those elements I think really make the bigger picture where actually enjoying what you're doing is the drive that keeps the thing going for sure.
That's the key to living, man. And if you can enjoy what you do, and that's the thing, some people can't figure out what they enjoy doing. They can't figure out their hobbies, and if you could find one that you enjoy as much as I enjoy doing what I do, you do it. Go for it, man.
Absolutely, dude. So like when you're not jamming metal or grindcore, what do you listen to besides this stuff? Like, what do you like? I see you got a Peter Gabriel shirt on, and I mean, Genesis is rad. A lot of respect for Peter Gabriel as well. So what's on your rotation when you're not, rocking out?
I mix it up a lot, but I mean, today we were listening, since we were in California, we're doing everything from the Grateful Dead to Journey, Metallica, bands from San Francisco. But on a daily basis, there's a band called Houston that just put out a new record a few weeks back, but they're 25 years old. They're one of my favorite bands that just got back together, and so I've been listening a lot to their new record. But it's Sade in the morning, something nice and mellow. A lot of George Michael. I love Wham and George Michael. I'm not ashamed to say it. He's one of the greatest singers ever. But yeah, but if it's non-metal, it's usually some type of indie rock type stuff or Midwest indie emo, even like some call it all kinds of different, but genres, styles. But Phil called it shoegaze. Is this shoegaze? I said, well, maybe it is. I don't know, but I love it. Whatever this is, I love it.
That's cool, man. Like the stuff where it's like ambient, like on a loop or whatever. And dude, Sade. I remember my sister had a cassette of that back in the day. I remember hearing that. Was it Smooth Operator? Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, she's a talented lady. And like George Michael, dude, like there's no doubt the guy could sing. I mean, imagine that if he was doing like a Judas Priest style thing. I mean, you could, he could rock for sure. So more power to you on that stuff. And I like 80s music too. Like if I'm partying or having a good time, I don't want to listen to freaking, grindcore the whole time or brutal death metal. I want to listen to something that's got a good chorus,
Yeah, you got to wait till about 2:30 in the morning, and that's when you put the Nile album on,
Right.
and that's when it's time for death metal.
Exactly. When it's time for bed, it's time for death metal. Absolutely, man. Exactly. You can't start out that way. Like I'll like start out with some Van Halen or something. Like it kind of like just gets heavier and heavier as the night goes. But like, yeah, when I'm having a good time, I want to listen to Motley Crue. I don't want to listen to freaking Mortician. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a time and place for every genre, if you ask me.
Absolutely, dude. Cool. So what are you guys gonna do on your day off? Just enjoy the sun and being outside and having a day off, doing your laundry, stuff like that?
Yeah. Today is I'm out here. I guess we got some kind of water behind us here. I'm gonna go maybe find Alcatraz or I don't know. Nothing's open today because it's Thanksgiving, so we kind of got to do sightseeing type stuff. Maybe like the house from Full House. Maybe
There
check
you
that
go.
out. But yeah, probably just do a little sightseeing. Go get something to eat. Maybe usually like to find a casino on Thanksgiving and find a Thanksgiving buffet. Have some turkey and stuffing and stuff. Just like I should.
Yeah, now you're talking. That's got to be fun. I mean, I love the buffet, obviously. I like casinos too, but yeah, dude, if you could find a casino on Thanksgiving, chow down and go put a 20 on the roulette wheel, see what happens, man. That's good, clean living right there.
Hey, I got that kind of luck. Maybe I should.
Absolutely, put it on black, dude.
Right on, man.
Hell yeah. Well, John, I appreciate you joining me, man. Is there anything you want to say before we go?
Hey, just thanks for having me. Check out The Nest. Check out housecorerecords.com. There's a cool Black Friday sale going on actually this weekend. It goes all the way through Monday. So I don't know when this will be online, but if you hear this before the Black Friday weekend, they got a cool CD sale going on, 25% off.
Nice. And this will be on. I'm going to edit the video, get it ready for tomorrow. And I suggest everybody in the Portland, Salem, Oregon area to go to the Star Theater Saturday to watch Nest play. John, it's nice to meet you, man. I really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you very much.
Cool, man. Thank you. See you soon, man.
Later, dude.
Later.